Today's video is all about SoulGraph, a project that brings soul to your AI agents. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals such as the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. And the question is SoulGraph an opportunity? Guys, today we're going to be doing a deep dive, looking into some of the fundamentals regarding this project, SoulGraph. We'll be looking at all the little details necessary for us to be fundamentally bullish. And the question is, does the team provide all the information we need to get fundamentally bullish? Of course, we're going to be using the main website as our main platform. We're going to be using white papers and any documentation provided by the team. And in addition, more importantly, we're taking a retail perspective. We're taking a retail investor perspective. And the reason being is because in order to gain this mass adoption that all crypto projects want to achieve, they're going to have to make sure that the retail investor is thought of at this current moment, particularly as we see the potential for this market to get a bit of a recovery. All right, guys, so let's just get right into it real quick. You know, there's a lot to discuss here today in this video. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly so that we can be well versed here. As we look at the website, we can see it's quite interesting. It's quite appealing. Obviously, at first glance, we don't know much about it, which is unfortunate. I would like to know a little bit, at least a one-liner telling me what it's about. But based on my experience in this field and in this industry, I can imagine what it is. It is a launchpad of some sort, and it is an AI agent launchpad. Okay, so if you are interested in creating AI agent, you join, you subscribe, and you get options and tools to create an AI agent. Now, the main value proposition, the main idea here for SoulGraph is not only to create a AI agent like the typical ones that we've been experiencing in this market in the last little while, but to introduce a layer on top that brings personality, soft skills to the agent, which, you know, is interesting, no doubt. As a value proposition, it's something that I expect that we will want and will need our agents in the future to have, right? A little bit more personable characteristics or personality. Definitely interesting. We'll talk about more about this in a second as we go through the white papers and all the documentation. But this is a general idea. Okay, so this is the website. You can see there's a couple others. You know, I've been poking around that Lyra, Professor Samuel, Elon Musk, Applewood. In fact, I went further and created my own agent, you know, a Donkey Dong agent. If you guys know who that is, obviously it's an AI agent that I have been using, or the persona or the concept that I have been using on the channel within the community to test a lot of other AI agent platforms. And that way I was able to really gain that, you know, ground level experience as to how the platforms work and how to deploy agents and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of experience here on my behalf involved with a lot of these platforms. Okay, so just keep in mind that's the case. If we go left, you can see there's my souls, the ones that I've created, and yours would be there as well. And upgrade to SoulGraph Plus. If you click that, you can see unlimited call minutes, so which is interesting because you can speak to the AI agent through like a voice phone call, uncensored mode, so no filters, full creative freedom, you know, whatever you want to talk about, all, you know, anything goes type of scenario, and early access to get new models, you know, and fine-tune experiments first. Fine. Upgrade to SoulGraph, never mind. Now this seems to be coming soon. Now when, I am not sure, and this is something, again, has a lot to do with the token economics and the token utility and so on and so forth. So we'll definitely talk about that as we keep on going. Okay, so just let's put that on the back burner. As we continue going down, you can see you can create a character. As you know, as I mentioned, it is a launch pad, so you can come on here and create your own character and launch a AI agent. It's not a crypto launch pad. Let's be real. It's not like you're creating a token. It's not a pump.fun type of scenario, although we're going to talk about pump.fun and its involvement here. Super critical, very critical. Make sure that you hang in here with me because we got a lot to talk about. But nonetheless, it is a launch pad for AI agent character creation. Okay, so and in addition to that, if you want to know more about the token, it's going to take you to SoulScan, which we're going to talk about also. And if you want to know more about the development process or to get involved, that's also there for you. Discord and X. Discord is active. There's team members there, which is good, and we'll talk about that again as well. So we're just gonna kind of like scrape through this website, and obviously that concludes the website. That's it. That's all you really get. And you get a bit of white paper, which I was able to get my hands on, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's quickly look at what I've done here. So this is Donkey Dong. So I decided to create my best version of Donkey Dong that I can. Obviously, this is an AI agent that I have been, dealing with or working with in the past. And you can see that ultimately you have capabilities as you have the ability to speak to the agent. You have the ability, and I wish I could show you this on screen. I'll do my best. Let me see if I can just quickly do that and kind of like move my screen around for you guys. Give me a second so that you can see right there. You can see you can speak to the AI agent via a phone call, which is cool. Uncensored or censored, if you want to have a little bit of censorship and make it a little bit friendly, you could do that. And going forward, you can see there's a lot of capabilities here with regarding to chatting to the AI agent via text, like typical AI agents. The difference here is the way you're able to train the model, the AI agent. Okay, so let's just quickly look at that while I kind of reposition my screen here a second, the best I can. Just give me a second here, guys. Give me 1 second. And then, like we have to understand that a lot of these launch pads at the current moment, or these AI agent creation platforms, they're doing their best to make things seamless, easy, and so on. And I really do appreciate it. There are a few little things on the website that need to be corrected and fixed, and bugs and so on, but nothing major, obviously. I just want to premise all of this, and I should have premised this from the beginning, okay, because this is super important as context, is that this project is very small. It's very young. It's very new. Like a few months in. Let's be real. Okay, so we have to understand that this whole deep dive is going to be based on the speculative concept. Like, this thing is very in speculation mode. The project in general, not the idea per se, because it also is, but the actual project itself on the speculation curve, it is right up there. Okay, so it's risk to reward. That's what you got to think about here. Okay, so let's just continue with what I was saying here with regarding the actual AI agent creation process, or the character creation. You can see you could create your own avatar with a little bit of a description. It creates all kinds of little avatars. Do I feel like the quality is there? It's not bad. It's not bad. Like, it's pretty good. I've experienced a lot of different models before, and it's right there. There's always areas for improvement. Let's be real about that. Entity, and you can see you can give it some definitions, its backgrounds, what it's all about, what is it good at, this and that, its name, occupation, personality description. This is where things get a little bit difficult for me, is because I'd rather describe the personality in words and in paragraphs, like I've seen in other agents, and then in addition also provide this, right? So maybe I'm not very familiar enough, or maybe I just don't have enough experience with the platform, but I did create an agent, and for me, it's like the first impression is always the most valuable. So this is it. Okay, the various values, innovation, different characteristics and values, and then its voice, if you want it to be sarcastic and so on, because that has to do with the ability to communicate via that phone call. It literally is like a voice conversation that you can have. And then the relationship, interaction style, playful, mocking, different characteristics, boundaries. You can set boundaries and so on, and then you can save it, and then that's your character, and eventually that's what you have. You have a character that you can communicate with and chat with and so on. Now, where its main value proposition gets introduced, and again, it's going to be good to kind of look at the white paper. So let's jump right into that. okay, is the fact that it relies on memory. Okay, this is where they step in and say, okay, we setting ourselves apart from other AI agent models out there, or AI agents that can be created, is by introducing the concept of memory. And with that memory and that soul that you could give it, we're going to increase the experience that you're going to have when engaging in dialogue with the AI agent. And I have a little bit of not an issue, but I have a little bit of a worry about this. I feel like the market is not ready for this at the current moment. And the reason being, and of course, you guys know that I have experience in this field and I've been dealing with AI agents a while. And, the AI agents themselves of today, just without soul or without character or without soft skills, they're not really holding up tech wise. Okay, they don't offer that great of a value proposition, which means that the promises of the AI agent narrative are not even being fulfilled from the basics, never mind looking for personality and soft skills. So I feel like, it's almost like a scenario where it's like you're trying to put lipstick on a pig type of thing. And that's a very common engineering idea where it's like, is the back end or is the frameworks, is everything else working perfectly in order to then now focus on putting soul into a AI agent? In my opinion, there's still a lot to be done in the AI agent field, and its development and its fulfillment of all the promises and expectations from them, and then maybe we can focus on providing some of these characteristics that Soulgraph wants to offer. However, guys, if this is a scenario where it becomes a first mover advantage on the speculation curve, this is an opportunity, right? So this is what you got to think about. Like, are they just, front running, getting started with the next level, the next phase? And if you feel that that's the case, this is the value proposition is spot on, because obviously if you're going to have an interaction with an AI agent, you would want eventually for this AI agent to have some sort of personality rather than being so robotic and not being able to hold memories and train its personality via its memories. Okay, so again, we're going to do our best here. I'm going to obviously try to navigate this project as best as I can here, and bring perspective to the deep dive as well. So SoulScript, an open source language, very important, open source, so it allows a lot of developers to get involved within the development of the project. Very open source, that's great. Decentralized technology is everything that I appreciate about blockchain and so on and so forth. So we'll talk about that. Soulgraph memory, so persistent memory that shapes how agents evolve. Okay, this is important. Agents remember past conversations and learn from every interaction. Now, this is already exists. This is not new, right? This is something that I've been using for already a long while. But the memories can be soul bound to each use, creating unique and organic relationships. Every conversation makes a connection deeper and more personal. I think the key word here is personal. So it's not like you're memorizing the information from like a very robotic scenario. It's also the personability that is being memorized, that deep relationship that can be achieved through these memories. Okay, so it's just a little taking it more one step further to be more person-like. Okay, so I get it. I understand. Soulgraph presence, plug and play for infra, for expressive real-time communication, voice calls, reactive avatars and video coming soon, built for real-time interaction. So quick, voice to voice, all of that. This is what it is. So it's good job to describing what it is. Why does this need to exist? Current agents are useful but forgettable. They're tools, not the reality is that, okay, they are tools, but even their tools are not even that tool like. They don't do much, to be honest. The current AI agents that are out there, they're very limited. We're still waiting for some of the progressions out there. This is why I feel like, okay, we're trying to front run this. But regardless, with Soulgraph, agents become memorable characters that people want to interact with. I get it. I totally understand that. But the real challenge isn't technical, it's standardization. Every developer is building their own way of defining AI agent personalities, their own memory systems, their own expression frameworks, and so on. So what they're trying to do is trying to bring a standard here. And this is what I like to read. This is bold. Think of it this way. If Eliza Arc gives an agent hard skills, which is the functionalities behind it. Soul graphs give them soft skills, which is the personality and the maybe even the emotional type of scenario, right? So, or to resemble that emotion or that connection, personable connection, which obviously, makes sense. Eventually, that's going to need to be the next wave of AI agents. I get it. Okay, so let's move on the speculation curve. Yes, we are onboarding select agents. If you'd like to onboard your agent to SoulGraph, please, get in touch. Okay, so that's cool. Now, if you start looking at tokenomics, okay, which is something that I focus on quite a bit, particularly with new projects, when I click on that link, it takes me nowhere. Okay, so that's a problem, big problem. Now, after discussing and trying to connect with the team, gladly I was able to get some good answers, or at least some answers. To be honest, I wasn't able to get much. Okay, so at least I was getting what I got is what I got, and I'll show you what I got. I got this image. That was about it. Okay, so token supply is this 85% circulating supply. 85% right here, which means that the majority of the tokens are in circulation, and I would like to call this an 85% fair launch. Okay, so it's majority of it is fair launch, which we like. For a lot of people, we want that fair launch. No VCs, no major holders. Team doesn't hold 30-50%. You know what I mean? We want it nice and community driven and decentralized wallets all over the the crypto space. That's great. When we see token distribution nicely spread, great stuff. Okay. 7.5 to community treasury. I don't know where and who's in control of this, for bounties, airdrops, who makes the decisions and who applies this, treasury and puts this into play. Is it the team? Is it a DAO? Is it a governance? I don't see any of that, but still, okay, it's only 7.5%. Then you have a 5% partnership fund, which is again, small amount, but still there. Collaborations and integrations with other projects. Who controls this? Who calls the shots of which and who it gets collaborated with and so on and so forth. So that's 5%. And then the team, very small amount, 2.5%. It is locked for 1 year to ensure alignment with the project's long-term goals, which is, very, very modest and very healthy. And I appreciate that. Now, I would like to see a vesting schedule. Apparently there is none defined on the white paper, on the website, or anything like that. So this is where I have to say is, from a retail investor perspective, it is the team's responsibility to iron out all the ambiguity. Uncertainty, lack of clarity is friction. If you introduce friction, you are introducing risk. If you're introducing risk, you are giving people a reason not to want to buy or get involved. Plain and simple. Guys, I've been doing this for a lot of years. This is not something... this is the especially that it's majority fair launch. It's 100% the team's responsibility to make sure the communication and marketing is on point, because there's no other way to get people interested. Okay, so this is the thing. Now, there are things that they're working on from a marketing perspective. They just had an airdrop. I think it was yesterday, literally, or the day before. I couldn't really get up to date with regards to some of the infographics here today, but I'll definitely show you on the socials that they did release. I think it was some of the community treasury as an airdrop. Okay, so that's great, but you get what I mean here, guys. Just because you're fair launch doesn't let you get away with not providing clarity and transparency. Plain and simple. Okay, so let's continue. Now, so I can't get into the tokenomics, so let's move on. We're going to go into SoulScript here. You can see Soul open source language. You want to get involved, you can see a lot of metadata structures and so on and so forth. Not retail, really investor type of scenario. Soul graph memories. Soul binding memories. So soul binding users can choose to bind specific memories to their relationship with an agent, creating a unique timeline of memories that influence how the agent evolves for them. Currently cooking, coming soon. So this is not even there yet. Okay, so let's just be real. Did I miss anything here? Okay, so this kind of describes why you need the memories. It's for growth through experience, just like we do. Our memories help shape who we become and what way we think and the way we interact with others. So try to give the AI agents that human capability of learning how to interact from a personable scenario, person to person, from individual to individual. Fine. I agree. That's good, no doubt. There's a little bit of an infographic to show you the structure, the memory structure. Again, we get a little bit technical here. I'm not going to get into that because again, this is not a general tech deep dive. This is a crypto deep dive. And when I talk about crypto deep dive, I quickly start to ask, what is the token for? What's the token utility? What is the purpose of the token? Why do we need a token? And this is a lot to do with a lot of new projects come out, especially Web 2 projects, Web 2 tools that come out, and they realize, oh, I can just be a crypto project and slap a token on it. Well, the question is this one of the scenarios? Does Soul Graph need a token? What's the decentralization aspect of the token itself? Now, it could be future thinking. Again, revenue stream is currently is borderline not here. I don't see much token utility because you can make a character on the website for free. Up until now, there's no ability to upgrade. It is coming soon. That's fine. And then maybe then when you start requiring to pay for transactions, and then that's a different story. But as of now, this is what we're dealing with, right? Okay, so let's continue because there's a lot to be said here. That's cooking soon. Soul Graph presence. Okay. Why agents will never feel truly alive if they are confined to text real-time voice. So this is the thing, they're trying to bring this soul, this life, this personality, guys. A lot of repetition here, and we got the point, guys. We got the point. Okay, so putting it all together. Okay, great. A lot of revision of what we already spoke about. Feel free to read this again. I read it and read it and read it, and nothing has changed. All the same thing over and over, guys. I'm going to tell you this. This concludes the white paper. And again, this is not product market fit. This is not ready for market. This white paper is not giving you much information. And unfortunate, because it could be the greatest idea, it could be everything, but from a investing perspective, when somebody goes and wants to do research on a project, if you don't get the information you need, again, it's friction, guys. There's not enough here. Okay, so we have to. Where's the roadmap? I don't know where they're going with things. Like is the team doxed? They're not doxed. So this is gonna be a quick deep dive because there's no information. And that's unfortunate. The team is not doxed, so I don't know who they are, where they're coming from. They do have some social interactions on X and conversations and things. But that's not doxed. I want to know where they came from, not from a personal perspective, obviously, but I want to know their education and where they worked in the past, and what projects I want to know their portfolio of what they've worked on in the past. Do they actually have dev experience? Are they capable of leading this project to the next level? I don't have any evidence of that. No matter what they say, unless they're doxed, there's just faith-based system in that regard. Okay, and then there's a lot. Then we push back to, like, it would be nice for this to be clear as to what the token, because again, guys, this is a crypto deep dive. Why are you here in this space trying to sell a token to people? Is because you have a purpose, a utility for that token. There's no clarity, none whatsoever here, telling me why I need to own this token whatsoever. It's not even governance. It's nothing. There is no utility at the current moment other than the possibility. Again, I'm going to show you this in a second. Actually, maybe I'll do it right now, right here. Maybe staking, which again is on April 2nd. Unlock maximum earning by staking Soul Graph on a third-party platform. You can come here and stake, and then you can earn. And right now, that's potentially the only token utility that I was able to find, and still very weak in my opinion. Okay, so like, okay, you can stake your tokens on a third-party platform and earn passive income. Okay, good stuff, right? But other than that, like, where are we going with this? And I got to be really real here. It is what it is. Now, it is in a struggling, narrative. We know the AI agent narrative is struggling right now. A lot of promises unfilled, and we're now trying to, take it to the next level while there's still so much work to be done within the AI agent narrative. So that's going to be a bit of a struggle because it's literally, going against the wind, and that's pretty difficult in a speculative curve that it's on, right? So we got to just kind of be real here about what it offers on the white paper. And I'll be honest, there's nothing much, guys. I've been doing deep dives already for so many years, and I've never seen a white paper that doesn't offer everything you need like this to this degree. Okay, let's just move on. I don't want to get into that much detail now. There's so much more here. There's something that I want to discuss here for a lot of people, that it has to do with pump.fun. Now, the team has decided to create a token on pump.fun, and there's limitations here. Okay, now, and again, because I don't know the team, I'm going to be judging the team based on its decisions, right? And that's might be unfair to them. That's totally that's the way it is. If I don't know and I don't see and I don't have any evidence, I'm only going to go by what I do see and the evidence that I can collect. And I can say is that their decision to deploy a project that they deemed to be of high value, to deploy it on pump.fun. That's a big problem. And if you scroll down into their transactions, you see all these exclamation marks. These are failed transactions. Failed transactions are something to worry about. And the reason being is that projects that are deployed on pump.fun lack the resources to avoid this to happen. So basically, parallel transactions that happen at once get basically they don't go through properly. And we'll talk about this in my summary a little bit, but they don't go through properly. And if you were to do or deploy your contract manually, not on pump.fun, and provide the liquidity, create your own contract, and do your own thing, you're able to add a more of an allowance, so that this doesn't happen. Okay, and this is a big problem with pump.fun tokenization, is that the contract itself lacks quality, plain and simple, guys. Lacks quality. It will have a lot of problems going forward if it continues growing and going forward, bigger and bigger. The more transaction, the more failed transactions you'll have. So I don't know what their plan is. Very curious why they decided to do this. If they were as legit as they claim to be, why would they choose to go on a pump.funds platform and deploy a contract? I just don't understand it. Okay, so it doesn't take much if you're a developer to deploy a contract natively without pump.fun middleman, and be done with it, right? And they decided to go this route, and you can see all the failed transactions right here. Okay, so, and again, I'm talking about this contract. This is SolGraph GRPH. This is the contract address. And you can go check it out, and it's right here. Where's the contract? Somewhere around here. Here it is, and it's tradable on Mexi, and that's a whole other ball game. Just give me a second, guys, because I'm gonna say something else. Like, I was at one point ready to finish up my infographics, the ones that I usually release, and I'm like, but hold on, I'm able to see a chart on MEXC, but if I go in CoinGecko and I know what the team is going to say and I know what the community is going to say, well, it's not our fault, it's not listed here, MEXC. All you have is Radium and obviously DEXs, right? And that's not cool. If you know that majority of retail investors, they look for centralized exchanges to basically transact on, and to, get access to that liquidity, why wouldn't it be listed here? We know the issues here with CoinGecko, but we can't pass the fault to CoinGecko when your website or your white papers does not mention anywhere where your product offerings are. Like, you're trying to sell tokens, guys, right? You're trying to sell tokens. You're trying to get mass adoptions. You're trying to get people involved. Nowhere on the website do I see available on MEXC or anything, or CoinX or wherever they're listed. Nowhere on the white paper do I see any of this. And that's problematic. That's so much friction to allow people to actually go and buy. If you told me that I had to go on Radium and buy it, or MEXC, there's some people that might say, oh, I'm already on MEXC, I got capital on there, I'll go buy some, right? So you're removing, that option by not advertising everything that you got going for this project. So that's a big issue, right? So it's not just about, pump.fun contract. It's not just about where the liquidity is at. Now it's like, it is fully on finishes bonding curve, which is great. So it's on Radium right now. But what about the fact that it's also on centralized exchanges? That's a big thing, and it's not even advertised anywhere. If I wasn't on TradingView and looking at the chart, I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know, guys. So this is a problem, right? Communications marketing problem. And like I mentioned, it's not ready for market because of that. It's like, product market fit is not there. Even though, they might, have some aspects of the business working, the rest of it is not. So we can go all roll it all back and we can get back into this page because I don't know where else to go. But what I would say is, yeah, you got to provide the token utility. What is it all about? Why do you want to buy it, and where you could buy it, and a call to action where to get involved, right? So there's a big discrepancy there. And then obviously the fill transactions are not interesting whatsoever for those of us that are, looking at on-chain metrics. That's not cool. And of course, it's majority of it could be, and it generally it's because of pump.fund contracts. So there's a lot to be said here. Okay, a lot. What else? There's no more really to be said here, guys. It's very speculative. Okay, very speculative. Now, if we go on to what's been happening recently here, their socials are okay for their size. They got about 13,000 followers, pretty good. And Soulsmith Season 1's launched today, which is good. 2.5 million in GRPH rewards allocated to the community. So the community is going to be earning these tokens, and they're going to be airdropped to the prizes, and they're going to be enjoying these tokens. Good stuff. Now the question is, are they going to sell? I don't know, guys. Like, the reality is that the market generally decides that it is overvalued and it needs to find its fair value. It will sell off. If they feel like it's undervalued, they will not sell off. This is the problem with these types of scenarios, is because if the market decides to sell, you're going to get a cascading effect. And ultimately, it's healthy if the value proposition is high, because then you'll get all those tokens distributed amongst many wallets out there in the space, which is obviously healthy. Okay, so this is where we're at, guys. This is all I really have. This is a great opportunity for airdroppers, and it's great publicity. But you can see, cool, if this is your cup of tea, and if you feel like this is what AI agents should be about, and creating personal connections with these types of things, and then that's cool. But I don't know what to say here, guys. Okay, that's that. And that summarizes what I got to say. Let's take a look at the infographic, and we'll maybe get into a little bit more details here as far as what I got. And you guys know I released this infographic to you guys on socials. And guys, I'm just going to tell you, I'm trying to be very, very honest here with what I got for this project. Okay, the ecosystem, all those agents that I showed you, there's thousands of agents. I think there's like 2,000 agents being deployed on the platform, which is great, but there's no major breakthroughs there. Like, it's not like it went mainstream, or hit the map, or made it on the scene, or anything like that. And it's not exclusive to SoulGraph. This idea is pretty much market wide with regards to AI agents. AI agents as a narrative is struggling, and I can personally, based on an individual that's been in this space for so long, can't seem to wrap my mind around that the market is ready to start thinking about giving their AI agents personality this way. Okay, so this goes back into the token utility. There's staking and there's pay for services, but nothing there yet. So what am I paying for? Why do I need the token? Why am I buying the token? Why am I accumulating the token? For speculation of future value. That's it. The future value, future implementations. And do we have any indication of the future? We do not. We don't have a roadmap. We don't have it. All I have is a little button at the bottom of the screen that says SoulGraph coming soon. Guys, okay, maybe that's good, and we have some social stuff, but there's no official documentation. There's none whatsoever there. Okay, so this is where I'm at. Guys, this is real. Team, not doxed. We don't know who they are, where they come from, where they worked, nothing like that. If I got to go hunt that information down, that means that it's not meant to be. That's friction, guys. If they wanted us to know who they are and what track record they have and what skill sets they bring to the table, so that we want to buy the token because of the future value speculation, guys, they would make a LinkedIn page. They would have themselves all over the place. Well, they want their privacy, and I respect that. I respect privacy. But if they want people to buy it, they have to also sell their skills, especially in a developing project that has such a small market cap. Okay, this is they're trying to raise capital from a fair launch perspective, not VC perspective. This is so important, because if you are going to go and raise capital via VC, you can keep yourself private to the general public, but VCs will want to know who you are. That's fine. You dox yourself with your VCs, you make your connections, you get paid, you do your thing, and you pray VCs do the right thing. Okay, Let's move on from that. If that's not the case, you go fair launch. But then again, you want people, regular individuals, to buy into your project to fund the project. That's basically what you're doing. You're asking them to provide liquidity and not sell so that the team could and the project could survive and flourish, right? But we don't know anything. There's nothing here. So there are interviews on conversations and conversations that can be found on X. Go feel free to check those out. Do they qualify as docs? No, they don't. They're just conversations, and that's about it. Okay, and they're healthy conversations. I'm not saying they're not quality. I'm not saying that they don't have value. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying, it's a bit of an issue when you're speculating and you don't know who to speculate on and what talents you're speculating on. Socials are okay. I'll give it them that. 12.6 followers, pretty good. I appreciate that. No Telegram, unfortunate, but I understand the decision given that Discord's quality of conversation is so much higher. So I appreciate Discord much more than Telegram from that perspective. The Discord is active with the team willing to answer questions. Bonus, bonus, bonus. They're doing their thing on socials. And from a perspective of their narrative is quite easy to create social content. So I expect them to take full advantage of deploying more images as they did on the X account that might attract, the average target market, which is, young men, that type of thing. Okay, so guys, what can I say? From a social perspective, they got to keep on cranking from that perspective. But I was very reluctant here because it's a marketing thing that I would like to talk about, right? It's not just social, it's a marketing thing. Their marketing is in communications needs tons of work. Tons. Like they're nowhere near ready for mass adoption. So this is a bit of an issue. And it stems to their tokenomics, because even though they have decent tokenomics, the lack of clarity with regards to the other portion, which is about 15%, leaves people questioning, even though I say this is good because it's fair launch. It's good because token distribution is decentralized. It's good because of this, but then what is the value of the token, right? So, okay, let's keep tokenomics 9 out of 10 because of that fair launch. But then when we couple it up with other factors that I discussed above, the token literally has no value, no major utility at the current moment. Okay, so again, fair launch is good. Are they going to raise enough capital to, continue getting listed on exchanges, have proper marketing, get a proper marketing team to communicate properly and get their website up to speed because it's missing a lot of information, get the white paper going? Are they going to have all of this? Is it too much for the team? How big is the team? How many members are on the team? There's so many questions that I couldn't answer. So I'm going to keep it at face value. As long as 85% are in circulation to the general public, and they keep on deploying these community treasury partnerships tokens out there, which they've already started, like I mentioned. And the team 1 year lock, which they're, they have almost, pretty much, they're only like 4 months in, so they got a lot of time still left. And then if there's a vesting schedule, that should be plastered all over, because even though it's only 2.5%, it would be nice to give reassurance that there's a vesting schedule. And these are all little things. So I'm going to give an 9 out of 10 out of good faith because of the fair launch aspect. But other than that, you guys know what I just said, what I said, right? Take it as you will. Relationships, again, there's not much happening here. And now that I'm talking about this, there was something that I forgot to mention as I was going through the thick of the deep dive. AI agent framework, Eliza, ARC, okay, these are relationships. Are they good relationships? I would say the frameworks out there, there's lots of frameworks. A lot of them are struggling. A lot of them are not offering or not meeting up to their promises. A lot of them are underperforming, not only price-wise, but tech-wise. A lot of the launch pads out there are great examples of this, and because their models and everything are just not keeping up to speed and keeping up with expectations. So the relationships are as such, and they're typical, and there's fine. But I would say that a valid relationship would have to do with, again, bringing this back to crypto. How is this project decentralized from a back-end perspective? And this is something that I talk about a lot when I talk about AI in general. Their infrastructure, their DePIN infrastructure would be great to say SoGraph infrastructure is completely decentralized, in the sense is, how is their processing do they use AWS? What kind of processing are they using? Is it a server that they have in their office? Is it is it DPIN? If it's DPIN, bonus, that should be all over the place. If they coupled up with, a major DPIN platform out there already in the crypto space, and that could be a massive relationship, a healthy relationship, something to boast about, then we would be, wow, okay, the back-end infrastructure is decentralized, and that's at least something to be speculative on. At least that's good. That embraces what cryptocurrency is all about from a back-end perspective. There's so many ways to decentralize your project, and it's great. The tokenomics is one of them, which it's 9 out of 10. From that perspective, we're good. The wallet distribution is healthy, but then the tech itself is very centralized from, because you can ask yourself, then why do they need a token? They could run this as a Web 2 application, just get people to pay for the service via Visa and MasterCard and be done with it. Why do they need a token? And as of now, there's no token utility, and it has to do with a lot of the tech decisions, one of which is it a decentralized infrastructure? Do they even plan on providing their own DPIN infrastructure? Maybe it's beyond their scope, and they're saying, what, I'd rather outsource that and create a relationship with a DPIN project out there and work together with them, which is also valid, but they got to get going on that. And where would be the best place to make people feel that that's the case? Well, a roadmap. That's where they could say, what, during this time, we're going to be focusing on developing a relationship with a DPIN infrastructure project, or we're going to create our own DPIN infrastructure. And that's one of the token utilities that are coming around the corner. Something, right? So accountability as far as where the project is going and how the type of relationships they may want to embrace is super important, guys. What can I say? Exchanges, look, there's a big problem here. It's probably bigger than you would ever expect, because how would I know where to buy this if it's nowhere listed anywhere? Right? I wouldn't know that it's available on Weeks, MEXC, CoinEx, KSEX. I wouldn't know. And this is a problem. So yeah, I'm giving it 1 out of 10 with a wake-up call, because no one will be able to buy it if they don't know where it is. Okay, so that's something to consider for sure. Now, as far as its price, guys, okay, it's obviously cheap in this case, if you want to call it cheap. Its market cap is, very small, 5 million, it's tiny, guys. $5-6 million. This is very, very small. Trading volume is quite high. At the time of me doing the investigation, it was right around 25%. You got to understand that when your market cap is quite low, it doesn't take much to create a lot of trading volume in comparison to its market cap. All it takes is a whale, someone that has a good amount of those tokens, to come in there and spoof. I'm not saying that it's the case. I just want to make it real. It's obviously educational for you guys to learn and go look at the on-chain metrics. If there's going to be a wallet there that's a whale that has enough to go and spoof the volume, they will do it just to induce people to expect, a trading volume and market participation. So it's a good amount of trading volume. It's just with its market cap, is it that important? Is it that a valid metric? Guys, you got to be critical. That's what I'm trying to say here. Now, another thing, I noticed on CoinGecko, it didn't quite say the circulating supply was full 1 billion, because the max is 1 billion. But I would say there's something discrepancy there. And again, without proper documentation or addressing the issue or anything like that, I wouldn't know. So I'm going to say it's fully diluted. Regardless, there's a few tokens missing. I don't know exactly how, but that's the case, guys. Ambiguity, obviously, but it's not a too much of a gray zone, as you can see. So I like this, no doubt. But locked tokens in wallets, those 15%, I want to know where they're going and how they're being worked. I want to know how they're going to be placed into the market. And I think a lot of us would want to know that, even though if it's only 15%, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's shift into my final verdict here, guys, and then we'll talk about the chart in a second. And of course, I got a quick summary overview as far as what it is up there if you want to read that. We talked about that already, what it does. It's an AI agent launchpad Solana narrative type of thing. This is how I would describe it. Some may argue that it's not a launchpad, but it is. Okay, that's the reality. It's a launchpad for AI agents, not a launchpad for a token. This is something super important. Okay, so then this is where you can separate the tech from a AI perspective and the token perspective from crypto. You can separate those very easily with this project, because the token has no utility right now, big utility, okay, important utility. So the TGE was it's very new, guys. This thing's more or less January 2025, 4 months in, depending on what metric you use to define TGE, where it was liquidity was provided or when the contract was deployed. More or less it's within a month. So January, it's fresh, guys. This thing's fresh, it's brand new. So we have to obviously keep a perspective of speculation. Like, if you feel like this project has what it takes to make it to the next level, guys, you're getting in at the ground level. The only way is up. So we can obviously look at this as an opportunity. Okay, so I'm just throwing it out there. I did mention a lot of things here that needs to be improved, but it means that if you're going to wait for all these things to get improved, you might be looking at a larger market cap project after that. And especially if you start to see, the AI agent narrative come back with a vengeance, with a lot of the loose ends tied up, and obviously, now the market is ready for their main value proposition, which is, bringing personality and emotion, soul to the AI agents, then obviously it might be too late. You're not going to get this value, right? You're not going to get this opportunity. So just bear with me here, guys. Vesting schedule for locked tokens is not provided. Token utility is not clear or defined. Human-like traits, memory, personality, emotion, tone, presence, real-time conviction, all the conversation. These are things that it tries to offer, okay? Infrastructure is most likely centralized. No documentation provided on the back end. I don't know where all the memories are being stored. I don't know if they're if the processing of the AI agent is decentralized, or we're relying on AWS, or what's going on there. That's a big part of crypto these days, and especially when we're talking about utility tokens. This is all the craze in the last little while. Staying away from pump.fun projects and looking into projects that have actual utility. Guys, this is important. This is where we should be focusing on, and really holding projects accountable to giving us this value. It's not enough just to put a slap a token on a Web2 project and call it a day. It's not enough. Okay, so just put it out there. Marketing communications needs some help, big time, if in order to succeed. Now, in a bull run, things are quite unique, and it's a false sense of reality, bull runs. Now, I don't know if we're going to get a proper bull run or not. That's a conversation for a different time. Obviously, I'm always talking about these concepts on my live streams and all of that, but this is not about that. This is about saying, if we do see a bull run, okay, it's a false sense of reality, because a lot of projects, whether they're good, they're bad, it doesn't matter, they pump. So I'm saying this, it could be that SoulGraph, it pumps if the market pumps, right? And this is the truth. So be prepared, right? Like, this is just an analysis based on the fundamentals, not about its pumpamentals. It could have massive pumpamentals, but from a fundamental perspective, like I mentioned, there's a lot of work to be done. Okay, from a packaging, marketing, communications perspective. Okay, the project packaging is not ready for market. Absolutely not. I've done 100 deep dives right now, and I've never seen a project lack that much data or information. The value proposition is interesting, but belongs to a struggling narrative that has bigger issues, and I spoke about this already. AI agents have a lot of work to do still to prove to us its major utility, stemming from proper communication on socials, because even that is a bit of a flop. Maybe activities on DeFi, that would be awesome. Getting their facts straight based on their sources and so on. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that AI agents need to achieve first, from a from a core perspective, and then soft skills come after. And I still feel like there's some time, to burn still here, still to achieve that perspective. During high demand launches, let's just talk about this for a second. When there's a lot of volume on a project, that is a contract that is deployed on pump.fun, contracts may, these are the two, and again, may hit compute budget limits, needs higher compute units. When you deploy a contract manually, not on pub.fun, you can define the compute units, and you pay for that space. And that space allows the contract to basically transact without possibilities of failure, less possibilities of failure. So the fail due to the account contention or parallel access issues. So basically, when contracts are running in parallel, I mean, when transactions are running in parallel, they could basically fail. And because the compute units are low, only the ones that are pumped out fund base, you are going to run into these issues. And the soul scan shows those exclamation marks everywhere. Now, guys, this is a bit of an issue. What does the team have to do to correct this? They need to redeploy the contract. And that, again, to migrate over to another contract. I don't know. I don't know any other way. Again, this could be a big issue. And I don't know what their plans are going forward. I don't know if they've addressed this in the past or if not. But again, in my opinion, that's a decision that a team has made. And then I question who's the team that made that decision. Now, future value. Okay, so projections. Again, guys, this is not. I'm not trying to put a target of any sort. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm not trying to FUD it. I'm not trying to pump it either. As you can see, I rarely do this, but I do this sometimes. I compared it to two projects. Projects like Weifu. Weifu is exactly the same. The only difference is that Weifu allows you to add a token to the AI agent. And Weifu does not focus only on, or doesn't focus on providing a soul to the agent. It's more of a typical agent. The things that it could do, okay, hard skills. That's fine, but it's still very similar. And Weifu has been struggling because it's hard skills, and Top Hat and virtuals and all of these are struggling because their hard skills are still lacking. The promises haven't been met, so that's a problem. So if we were to compare, you can see that there's no growth there. Unless we see capital flow back in based on fundamentals, I don't see how GRPH token, the token itself, not SoulGraph as a tech project, GRP as a token is going to gain value. This is what most people don't understand, is that when we talk about crypto, we have to talk about the token or the coin. It's not necessarily the software business per se, because this project, SoulGraph itself, can be Web 2, and not need a token whatsoever, especially as it is right now. Okay, it could easily shift right into Web 2 and forget about it. So if it's going to keep a token, it's going to compete and come to the realization that the market right now is still digesting the launch pads of the current state, which again are not pulling their own weight. So it's going to hold them back. They're in a struggling narrative at the current moment. Okay, and again, I have lots of experience in this narrative. I've got involved quite a bit within the projects, the teams, and Weifu, Top Hats, and all of this, and I understand what's going on there, and it's going to be a tough one. Now, if we compare it to Virtual, which is one of the leading AI agent launch pads out there, and it also is on Solana now. It's cross-chain, which is cool to see that they made that decision. That's fine. But the thing is that if it's going to catch up to them, they're going to do a 67x, which is insanity. Okay, so we got to be really real about what's going to happen here. And I am, obviously going to have a hard time giving a projection, but I'll give a modest one. I would say, look, if the market does proper and it does what it has to do, I can see it getting up to a cent. It's possible. It's not like it's not possible. It's not like, even if they don't have a proper white paper and if they don't have a proper this and a proper that, in a bull run, we'll get pumps. We'll get pumps on a lot of projects. The thing is that, how much capital do we allocate to from a risk to reward ratio to projects such as this? This is something you have to understand, is that you don't have to go all in. You can get, if you appreciate what they're trying to achieve, if you like the conversations that you're having with the team from one-to-one, like going on their Discord and the team is talking to you, or you go on a space and they start talking, you like what they say, then you have to understand that conversation, number one, is not scalable. Imagine requiring the team or the founder or the CEO, whoever it is, to have to speak to people in order to convince them that the token has utility. That's not scalable, guys. Right? So this is why marketing comes into play. This is why, their packaging needs to be on point, because if they expect the market to adopt, they cannot have one-on-one conversations like a door-to-door salesman from person to person to basically increase the fundamentals or the understanding or the mass adoption. That's not scalable. You're not going to get mass adoption like that. So there's a lot, friction here. And from a projection perspective, yeah, we're just hoping that maybe they tie up some loose ends, because yes, they are very young. We're hoping that we get into a bull run so we can see some capital flow up back into the AI agent space, given that they deserve, based on fundamentals, not isolating Soulgraph here, but the AI agent narrative in general. And hopefully we can start seeing some interest back here again. And if not, it's a very struggling narrative at the current moment, plain and simple. So we are expecting a bit of work to do. They have got a lot of work to do here, guys. Okay, so this is how it is. Soulgraph. All right, guys. I know you're here to talk about charts as well, so let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the graph chart. What do we see here? I'm looking at the MEXC chart, and the MEXC chart at the current moment, I don't like this wick, but you know how it is with small market caps. You get a lot of manipulation, you get a lot of volatility, and yeah, you just gotta almost ignore the noise. But then again, you can interpret what's really happening here by understanding what these wicks and what these quick moves to the upside really mean. Let's take a look at this in a bit more detail. Now, again, if you're looking at a chart like this, you can't hold Soulgraph accountable. This is market maker stuff, right? These wicks right here are pure exit pumps. Okay, these are pumps that are created to induce a bit of FOMO. Sometimes in a non-fair launch scenario, they are, again, assuming that the team doesn't hold any of the tokens, right? Because they could have bought them on open market, but that's not the point. What I'm just trying to say is that there's whales out there right now that cause and induce this type of emotion, and then cause people to FOMO in, and they take basically full advantage of the scenario and look for exit liquidity right here, and then they come back down and buy their tokens at the cheap again, and they've done that so many times already. Look at all this volume. Then all of a sudden we get to a very interesting zone, which you can see tons of sell pressure. Like, it's like a lot of volume right here, sell pressure like crazy, which in my opinion, given that the price has gotten a bit sideways here, even if it did make a lower low, it's fine. What I'm trying to say here is that given the amount of volume, it suggests that it's completely a battle zone, where we're seeing a complete distribution of tokens here. And from people that are selling off, maybe there's people that got early allocation from those airdrops from the community tokens, and they're just saying, you know what, I'm out. It broke below the previous low, we're in a downtrend, I'm out. And that's usually what happens. Market makers pumped exit liquidity, looking for exit pump liquidity, and then here we are. Now, little by little, we're going to start to look at this as a possible level of support. But at the current moment, we did give ourselves a little bit of confidence with this pump. And the only thing that we have to hinge upon is that the point of control is right here. We got this bottom to deal with. Let me just put a horizontal line right into there. It made lower lows and lower highs all the way up into this level. You can see it's still below the 200 daily EMA. That's not good, obviously. And this is such a fake, this is such craziness. Okay, so we have to understand that. And remember, each exchange is going to be slightly different, the chart, because it's such a small market cap and it's so easy to manipulate the chart. You're going to see a lot of wicks, also known as perhaps scam wicks, on various exchanges. Okay, so this is a MEXC chart, just keep in mind. Okay, and then what I do see here is the fact is the price reclaimed previous support, so which is good. Now, can we back this, confirm this level of support once again? Let's get onto the 6 hour real quick, because this is the last level of hope. This is the hopium that we're looking for. Sorry, guys. The hopium is that we use this horizontal support once again, as we have done in the past. Okay, so this is the only thing that we have at the current moment, because we're still in lower lows and lower highs. Even this high right here is still a lower high in comparison to this. But if you go on lower time frames, it broke above this range, which is healthy. And now it's retracing, coming back here. And if it back tests and spring, we're confirming this area as support once again. And that ultimately is, you got to take a chance. If you're fundamentally bullish and you like this project, this is the only place that it would be willing to take risk, is right around where it is right now. And you put your stop loss underneath here, give yourself a bit of wiggle room, and hope for the best. If it breaks below here, guys, we're breaking structure to the downside, and who knows how low we go. Back into the abyss, back into the void of price action, and no price action looking left to act as support. So it's like a now or never type of scenario for a lot of projects, not just Soulgraph, but you can see the chart is literally telling you, look, if we keep on this downtrend after this exit pump, if it becomes an exit pump and it doesn't sustain a nice consolidation for a healthy exchange of hands where we kind of go sideways and then continue, guys, we're coming down for a full retracement and we could come down for a lower low. Let's be real, because we've done it many times. Okay, so this is the reality, right? So we can't smoke too much opium here, but we definitely need to, be real about this. Now let's take a look at oscillators for a second here, so we can couple up some of the data. We got overbought already on the 6 hour. Let's do the daily here for a second. I think the daily has some more room to get overbought even further. I do like that the expansions here are smaller. This is class A bullish divergence, which is very nice. We can see that, this low and this low is a lower low right here, and this is a higher low right into here. I see a green expansion forming right here. If you zoom in very nicely, you can see that there's a green expansion coming in, which is very nice. And, and every time you get a nice green expansion, look what you get, a nice pop to the upside. So I appreciate that. So there's a bit of class A bullish divergence, and the fact that we're back above here and we're looking for that back test and bounce, it could be a good opportunity. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. Now, if we get back on, let's not go on the 6 hour just yet. Let's just kind of zoom up and zoom in on this. EMAs are facing up, green histogram bars, and we are seeing that the EMAs are trying to get into the bullish control zone. So on the daily, things are looking up and up, looking pretty good, looking like it might want a reversal here. Okay, so if you are going to take a risk on the daily time frame, you are looking okay. It's looking fine to start DCing. But again, you have to be bullish on that. You believe that the future value of SOL is going to be there, okay? And this is where it's at. Invalidation is here. Let me put a line right there for invalidation. You know what? I'm going to put in one of these lines real quick. Right, this right here, that's your invalidation. We break below there, you get out. That's a break of structure. If we make a confirmed higher low and go up for another higher high, we're continuing the trend and confirmed a change of character. And the reason why that is because we've achieved lower lows and lower highs here. This changed it up by confirming a higher high above these highs. And now if we make a confirmed higher low right here, that means that we are now making higher highs and higher lows. And this starts to look like a pivot point. And because the oscillators are giving you the same indication, both on momentum and trend, as I mentioned before, again, on the daily, we're looking good. If you are interested in this project, it is a DCA scenario, 100%. Now, if you're trying to get in with more risk and, leverage and all of that, guys, you got to get on lower time frames here. Don't go nuts on higher time frames with high leverage unless you can, bank, you can afford the volatility. Let's put it that way. The 6 hour getting a bit of a bounce. I don't like the way the 6 hour looks at the current moment. I feel like the downtrend is still here and we could still come down a little bit further based on this dip. Okay, so this dip, in my opinion, is not over until the 6 hour gets completely oversold and we start building a market structure that suggests pivot right into this level. We want a smaller change of character on lower time frames down here to suggest that the market is ready to reverse to the upside. That is the challenge in the next little while, because if we can get something here, right, you would want to deploy a lot more capital than just right now. Right now, if you're going in based on this dip, this correction, small amounts. If we build the structure, then you know for sure you're going to put the stop loss here. And because of that, a little bit of certainty on how to protect yourself, you can deploy a lot more capital for that bounce for a confirmed higher high, and that will confirm the trend. And that's where the magic really does happen. If we caught the bottom down here and you start to see a massive trend reversal on Sol Graph, it's going to start to look really good. Okay, so I'm just talking about charts here. Okay, just pure price action. Let's get rid of some of this artwork as best as I can. I think I'm going too far here. Let's go back on to the 6 hour. We can see, so again, the momentum is in the down. I don't like it. I could expect a bullish response, but if the bullish response, the orange line goes back overbought and we make another lower high, guys, be careful, because it's going to most likely come down possibly all the way back to where it came from, unfortunately. And I would say 0.0014 would be my first target if it doesn't hold above 0.0028, something like that, 285, right around here. We don't want to drop. Let me get rid of this for a second. We don't want to drop too far. It's either it's going to drop and consolidate and get that exchange of hands, or it's going to get a full retracement and potentially down to the 886. But we want to wait for this bullish response on the 6 hour. But the lower time frames is not completely done, because you can see the momentum is on a downturn. So on the bearish response here, we may make a lower low. So bullish response up to here, bearish response, lower low. Where do we hold? That's the question. We got a volume gap right here, an imbalance. And if we do not hold this level, there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to come and test this imbalance right into this zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a red box right in there to keep our strategy in tune. Let's put that there. Right into here. I'm worried about this spot, and you can see there's not much right in here. You can see that lots of empty space and a little bit of support above. So what I'm going to do is make this a little bit better right there. That's the imbalance that can act like a point of interest where the market makers might want to bring the price down eventually. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then another thing that I don't like here on the 6 hour, which suggests continuation downwards, is EMA is facing down red histogram bars here on the trend oscillator. We're still in the bullish control zone, which means that we could get a nice bullish response very soon with another purple expansion to the upside. But in the meantime, I am worried that the 6 hour could come down further while still maintaining a potential reversal here on the daily, because the daily is still looking okay. It's still not bad. And as I mentioned, the daily got a little bit overbought. Could it get more overbought based on the divergence, based on the green expansion, based on all the little details that we got here? Is very possible, guys. So it's only DCA right now. No major leverage or major risk, major position sizes. DCA nice and slow. If it does come down to this level, DCA, and invalidate your thesis if it breaks below this level. And be willing to take the hit on the chin if it does come down to the level, and cut yourself off, because we don't know how low we're going to go with this if it keeps on falling. Okay, guys? So the price action's okay. It does look like a little bit of a reversal. If you look at the previous fractals, you can see that market structures do build, and then eventually they do get some follow through. Could this be that moment where we do eventually get some follow through to the upside? Now, my last statement is this, and all based on risk to reward. Guys, do not feel afraid or ashamed to take half on the double. Okay, and what I mean by that is if you measure from where we are right now, and if you happen to DCA into this zone, and as soon as you double your money, you can see how easy it is to double your money on a small cap, micro cap like this one. It doesn't take anything to double your money. Most people, what they're doing is when they see this, they're like, but if I keep it all, I'll be that much more in profit if I just don't take profit. But that's a bit of an issue. Now, I understand right now we're seeing some signs of strength throughout the market, and it could be a scenario where you're like, well, it's now or never. Why am I going to take half on the double? I did all this work. You know, I'm not. That's fine. You can take that risk and not take your initial investment off the table. But if you take your initial investment off the table, there's one thing that's different, is that you are no longer at risk to be a losing trader, because you took your initial investment off the table. And all you have to lose at that point is house money. And who cares, because it's not your money. Right? And the benefit is that if it dips again and it comes back, even for a 50% retracement to come down to the discount zone, at least you have your initial investment to redeploy once again and buy the dip with. So you have to define whether you're going to be a long-term holder, a long-term trader, a swing trader for potential bull run action all the way back up, or you're going to be a trader where you're going to try to get in and out of the market, even if it's with a certain portion of your portfolio. I say this, when you're talking about micro caps, small cap projects, look at this, guys. There was plenty of opportunity through all of this to take your initial investment off the table many times and still get back in and double up many times on this chart. So who's to say that we won't get at least 1 or 2 or 3 more times to double up on our positions once we actually get the parabolic move? Now, of course, you might take half on the double, and it might rocket, and it might go all the way to $1 for all I know. And of course, you're going to be a little bit salty about that. But statistically speaking, probability is, over time, if you have this mentality, what happens is it makes you a sustainable trader. You don't want to win on one trade or one chart or one scenario. You want to win on many scenarios. And the only way is to find a sustainable strategy that will protect you via risk to reward. Okay, that is super important. All right, guys. So overall, hopefully I was able to provide you some value here on this deep dive. And if I did, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Guys, I'm live at 8 p.m. EST every single night talking about crypto news and price action. And if you have any projects you want me to cover, that is a great time and place to make those requests, and I put them in top priority. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.